How many of you were there in the morning? All of you were there, no? Om Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om Om Sada Shiva Samarambham Vyasa Shankara Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpada Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punaha Om Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryankaravavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai Om Shanti 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 Om Shanno Mitrasham Varunaha Shanno Bhavatvariyama Shanna Indro Brihaspatihi Shanno Vishnurukramaha Namo Brahmane Namaste Vayo Tvameva Pratyaksham Brahmasi Tvameva Pratyaksham Brahma Vadishyami Ritam Vadishyami Satyam Vadishyami Tanmamavatu Tadvaktaramavatu Avatu Mam Avatu Vaktaram Om Shanti 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 Om Yaschandasam Rishabho Vishwarupaha Chandobhyodhyamritaat sambabhuva Samendro medhaya asprunoti Amrutasya devadharano bhuyasam Shariram me vicharshanam Jihva me madhumattama Karna abhyam bhuri vishruvam Brahmana koshosi medhaya pihitaha Shrutam me gopaya Om Shanti 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 Aham vrikshasya reriva Kirti prashtangireriva Urdhvapavitro vajiniva swamrutamasmi Dravinagum savarchasam Sumedha amrutokshitaha Iti trishankorvedanu Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryankaravavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So, this morning finally I stopped the place how the reality of everything in this universe, the reality of this entire universe, reality of this entire universe attainable in terms of knowledge only as the very swarupam, essential nature of I, the knower, is of the nature of actionlessness. The reality arrived at as one's own swarupam is of the nature of actionlessness, not involved in any activities. And that formless abstract reality is of the nature of consciousness, is of the nature of limitlessness, is of the nature of actionlessness, which is the substance, which is the only absolute substance, that is the substance. And everything else other than consciousness is non-substantial form and name. Okay? Therefore, the consciousness, that reality arrived at in terms of its nature of knowing, thereby implied by the term consciousness or knowledge, is Satyam. It's also Atma, it is Satyam, and everything else other than that Atma is Anatma is Mithya. It is not non-existent, Mithya. Mithya means that it is as though. It means the Mithya, Anatma is resolvable in the very Satyam. Like what? How we can resolve the ocean in water, the entire universe. The entire objective universe, including one's body, mind, sense complex, which is known, comes under the category of the known, is Anatma. This Anatma is non-self. Non-self is Mithya. Mithya means it is as though. Why? It is not countable as a second thing or a parallel reality because it doesn't have independent existence. Is it clear? Therefore, we have to say this details, this Atma alone is in the form of the Anatma Prapanchaha. Atma alone is in the form of Mithya Anatma. Mithya Anatma is nothing but Satya Atma. Is it clear? Like saying water alone is in the form of ocean full of waves, or the entire ocean full of waves is nothing but water. This understanding must be there. Okay? With this understanding, let us get into the textbook now. Morning, a lot of long preparedness for this class. And now we have to remember where we are. We should not forget, because listening to so many things, we should not forget where exactly we are, what we are doing now. Now we are seeing the Sambandha Bhashyam of Shankaracharya before we enter into the second chapter of Taittiriya Upanishad. And here Shankaracharya beautifully presents the 5 different concepts of moksha. And different people have their own different concepts. And what is the concept of moksha according to Advaiti? The one who, for whom all that is there is only reality. No, Advaiti means the one who sees what is there is a non-dual reality. All that is here is only the reality. This is the vision of the fact for an Advaiti. And for him, knowledge of the reality is the only means of attaining moksha. And what is that knowledge of the reality? Here, Visesha Jnanam. Jnanam means which Jnanam? Visesha Jnanam or Aparoksha Jnanam is the only means of attainment of moksha. Visesha Jnanam, Aparoksha Jnana means clear, doubt-free, ascertained vision of the reality of the whole, obtaining as one's own self, from the standpoint of which everything else can be negated as mithya. That knowledge is what? Is the means of attainment of moksha. Knowledge alone, knowledge is the only means of attainment of moksha. It need not be combined with any action, karma or anything else. Whereas there are other people who have different views. And of those views, we first saw Shankara Bhagavad-pada takes this first view of what? Karmabhyaha eva mokshaha. Moksha is accomplishable only through karma. Jnanam is not required for moksha. And that view he took, and we saw how he refuted that view. He negated that view, proving the defect in it. And second view also we saw where the karma, the same karma, but backed by knowledge, predominantly karma, and the karma backed by knowledge serves as a means of attainment of moksha. The second concept Shankaracharya takes in his commentary, which is called karma pradhana jnana karma samuchaya, being the means of attainment of moksha, was discussed second. Do you all remember? That also has been negated clearly. And whatever that context, whatever doubt or query the Purva Pakshi had, Shankara Bhagavad-pada very beautifully negated. I'm sure you all still remember them all. And now, then he has taken up the third concept of moksha. What a third concept taken here? Here, samasamuchayaha. Samuchayaha means combination, synthesis. Samasamuchayaha means synthesis of jnanam and karma equally. So combination of jnanam and karma together equally contribute for the attainment of moksha, equally serve as a means of attainment of moksha. That is the third view. Still clear? The second view, karma was important. Little of jnanam has to be supportive of the karma. That was the second view, was negated. The third view we are seeing, third concept we are seeing now, where knowledge and karma should be combined, and because both are equally important in attaining moksha. That is the third concept we are seeing now. We have two more concepts, isn't it? Okay. And in this third concept alone, Shankaracharya negated it very clearly. Earlier we saw, and karma is not the means of attainment of moksha, because karma produces the result, phalam, and the phalam has a beginning, therefore it will have an end also. Any karma phalam, anything which has a beginning will have an end. Anything which has an end is not eternal, whereas moksha is eternal. Moksha is beginningless, endless nature of the reality itself. Moksha is reality itself. How brilliance is not different from the sun. Heat is not different from the fire. Like that, moksha is the very reality itself. Is it clear? Fullness, happiness, moksha, freedom is the reality itself. And reality is of the nature of eternity. This morning I spent a lot of time to make it very clear. Reality is of the nature of eternity, means reality is beginningless, endless, changeless, therefore eternal. Therefore, moksha is eternal. How can beginningless, endless, changeless happiness or moksha be the result which has a beginning and an end? Is it clear? Therefore, moksha is not any result of action. And there we saw how this Purva Pakshi also gave so many examples of Shruti itself, using the Gati Shruti and Aishwarya Shruti. Yesterday we saw all of them. And he said, okay, even though that's the rule, but still Shruti states, therefore, no, moksha is accomplishable, which has a beginning still, which will be eternal. And even that was explained, that is only upasana phalam. Upasanam also is what? Mental activity. And upasanam is a mental activity, and ritual is which involves the physical oral activities also. And therefore, any activity produces the result, and that result maximum going to heaven. And even though we go to heaven, there also knowledge should happen for one to attain krama muktihi. If knowledge does not take place, even after the exhaustion of punyam, one has to come back to this life. Moksha is not permanent. Therefore, even though heaven is the best of the results accomplishable, the best of the pleasures, etc., the great wealth one can enjoy, still moksha is not heaven. It was made very clear earlier. And here, which we saw in page number 344, we are seeing. Shankaracharya makes it very clear as an answer to the Purva Pakshi. Because why Purva Pakshi, listen to me, don't read the book now. Just see 344 where we left yesterday. Remember? We left where? Let me tell you, make it very clear. You listen to me, okay? If you see my face only, I can, because talk is difficult otherwise. So, what I'm saying, Purva Pakshi was talking all about, he was mentioning in his argument or query, presenting the query, he was talking about Gati Shruti and Aishwarya Shruti. Gati Shruti means what? The statement of Veda which discusses the travel of the jiva after death. And Aishwarya Shruti means the statement of Veda which discusses the enjoyment of pleasures enjoyable by the jiva who goes to heaven. So he quoted all these statements, do you remember? And for which now Shankaracharya wants to make it very clear. So going to heaven, enjoyment of pleasures there, enjoyment of any best of pleasures, best of life having there, etc., is all associated with Karyam Brahma. Remember, Karyam Brahma is another name for Sagunam Brahma. Is it clear? Sagunam Brahma. Is it clear? Sagunam Brahma. And it is, suppose there is an enjoyer. See, going to heaven implies what? Going to heaven, enjoying pleasures there, implies what? There is an enjoyer, object of enjoyment, enjoyment of pleasures. Remember, all these divisions are involved. Even going to heaven, no, there's a traveler, who travels and from whom the heaven is away. Heaven is an object which has to be reached, which is not his Swarupam. Heaven is not the traveler's Swarupam. Jiva is the traveler who is traveling towards to the heaven, and heaven is away from him, different from him. Whereas moksha is not away from one's own self, not different, not away. Why? One's own Swarupam. It's a big difference. Therefore, heaven is mistaken by this Purupakshi for moksha. And where the division is involved, enjoyer, enjoyment, object of enjoyment, etc., the divisions are involved, then that is only Karyam Brahma. Karyam Brahma means Sagunam Brahma. Sagunam Brahma, Ishvaraha, the divisions are associated with Karyam Brahma, Sagunam Brahma, Ishvaraha, which is also Mithya. Is it clear? You have to remember, Ishvaraha, Karyam Brahma, Sagunam Brahma, manifestation is also Mithya. What is Satyam then? The source of manifestation of knowledge alone is Satyam. Even manifestation of knowledge is Mithya. Manifest knowledge also is Mithya. Why? Manifestation comes and goes. Manifestation is dependent on source of manifestation for its existence. Therefore, manifestation is also Mithya. Therefore, Ishvara's status attributed is also Mithya. Sagunam Brahma, we are not saying unreal. We are not saying anything is unreal at all. We are not saying something is non-existent at all. We are only saying what is the order of reality does it belong to? Heaven, Sagunam Brahma, Karyam Brahma, Hiranyagarbha, manifestation of knowledge. Okay? Experiencer of heavenly pleasures, the traveler who goes, all these are what? We are not saying unreal, but they're all Mithya. Mithya means it does not have independent existence, therefore, which comes and goes. It is anything Mithya has a beginning, has an end, is subject to change. Whereas moksha is beginningless, endless, changeless nature of reality. One's own self. Is it clear? Therefore, moksha is the nature of reality, means that reality which is of the nature of freedom, limitlessness, fullness, is Karanam Brahma. Means absolute reality. Karyam Brahma is empirical reality, relative reality. It is not unreal, but empirical relative reality. Whereas Karanam Brahma is absolute reality. And this absolute reality is the essential nature of every individual, the truth implied by the term Atma or Brahma. Is it clear? And this and there is enjoyment of pleasures of vehicles and other things, food, etc., what is experienceable in heaven are not possible. Is it clear? Therefore, now we come to the point. Now you can read the Bhashyam. Translation, if you want, you can read. Yesterday I said, Ekameva Dvitiyam, Chandogya Upanishad statement. Why? What about Param Brahma, Karanam Brahma? This Karanam Brahma, the absolute reality, is one secondless non-dual reality. One means it is free from divisions. It is of the nature of divisionlessness. And if you see, Yatra Nanyat Pashyati, again Chandogya Upanishad. Okay, Yatra, having arrived at the reality in terms of knowledge, having arrived at the reality in terms of knowledge, and from the standpoint of the reality which is of the nature of knowledge, you can see yatra anyat na pashyati, one does not see anything other than the reality. Tat kena kam pashyet, after having arrived at the reality in terms of knowledge, who can see what with what? Okay, this is a statement from Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Ityadi Shrutibhyaha. So he is quoting all these statements to say what? Moksha is not heaven. Therefore, okay, heavenly enjoyment involves differences, whereas moksha is not heaven, which is divisionlessness. Moksha is a divisionless nature of reality, whereas heaven involves all divisions. Heaven is associated with heavenly enjoyment, heavenly pleasures, travel towards heaven, etc. are associated with Karyam Brahma. Karyam Brahma means what? Manifest knowledge. Is it clear? Karanam Brahma is the source of manifestation, which is absolute reality, which is free from all these divisions. You are mistaking, and for what do we need for Jnanam Moksha is attainment of Karyam Brahma is not Moksha. Rediscovering Karanam Brahma, obtaining as one's own self, is Moksha. How much has to say to state this fact? Okay. Now, let me tell you one more example. Let me give you the grossest example to understand this. Now, when you see this entire ocean full of waves, now we are all seeing only the ocean. Ocean is a huge, big farm you're seeing. And this ocean, there are so many small, tiny forms in form of waves also. And when we are seeing, our whole attention is in seeing the waves and the ocean, we see the difference. What difference you are seeing? We are seeing the ocean. So it is not unreal. It is not non-existent like a rabbit's horn. Is it clear? Ocean, when I am experiencing the ocean is available for my experience. Therefore, it is not a non-existent thing. I cannot say it is tucham. It is not something abhavaha. It is not non-existence. Why? I am experiencing it. And the whole attention is only on what? The ocean. And the ocean, and when I see the ocean, I also see the wave. I see the difference. What difference? When I see the wave and the ocean, it is possible for me to see the difference also. Wave, ocean, difference can be seen. So wave is real for me. In my perception, there is a wave, therefore wave is real. In my perception, there is ocean, therefore ocean is real. Because both forms I see, experience, therefore wave, ocean, difference also is real for me. Then it is called wave-ocean duality. Then when the duality becomes real for me, I also see not one wave, so many waves. For plurality of waves also is real for me. Ocean is real, wave is real, therefore wave ocean difference also is real. And now I see many waves, therefore if I see one wave and I see the division of wave ocean duality, then plurality of waves also is what? Real for me. Is it clear? And again many new waves coming and coming and coming also is real. Therefore multiplicity of the waves also is real for me. Is it clear? And this is what is real. Why? Nothing is unreal. multiplicity of waves is real because I experience the multiplication of the waves. I see the plurality of existent waves. I see the wave ocean difference. I see the wave. Okay, in my perception, duality is real, division is real, difference, every wave being different from every other wave is real. Multiplicity is real. It's all real. And then when the waves come, big noise is made. Noise also is real. Noise associated with the waves is also real. Because I hear the noise, I see the waves coming, I hear the noise associated with the waves. Is it clear? It's all real. It's not unreal. But how real it is? In my perception, they're all there. Therefore, I take them to be absolutely real. Because I perceive them, I see them, I experience them, I enjoy them, I take the wave ocean duality, division, wave division, plurality of waves, multiplicity of waves, movement of waves, motion on the part of the waves, movement of waves, pushing of waves, noise associated with the waves. Everything is for me absolutely real because I experience. I cannot see otherwise. It's not non-existent, it's not unreal. For me, it is absolutely real. Then, how long? All this you see many things. How long can you see this? Be with me, please. How long can you see this? As long as you do not see the truth of this ocean and wave being water, all of them which seem to be absolutely real. Once the attention, I'm giving the grossest example, attention is shifted, taken from the wave ocean form to the reality water. How many waters are there? Water is one. And then you see the fact, it is this water without which you understand the fact. The ocean cannot be, waves cannot be, wave cannot be. Okay? Therefore, the ocean is appearance of the water. All the waves are appearance of the water. And from this now you shift your stand from the form to the truth. Now you see from the standpoint of the water. Please see. Now you have to see from the standpoint of the water. If you see from the standpoint of the water, are there any divisions? Does water have a division? Think. No division. What is one? Undivided, indivisible. One substance. Is it clear? You must nod your heads. Because afternoon time, you see, and is there a wave now? From the standpoint of the water, you see, is there a wave? Is there a ocean? You can say wave becomes negated as mithya. Ocean becomes negated as mithya. Why? Because wave and ocean are only what? Forms and names which attributed to the form of the water, name of the water. There's no such substance called wave or ocean. Is it clear? It's a non-substantial. There's no after remove, if we cognitively remove the water, which is the substance, and there's no substance for the word wave. Minus water, wave has no substance. Water has no, the ocean has no substance. Wave, ocean, etc. becomes what? Non-substantial form and name. Therefore, you resolve what wave is mithya, ocean is mithya means it is as good as non-existent. We say ocean is a thing but water, waves are thing but water means from the standpoint of water, what is only water in the form of ocean. Is it clear? Now, from the standpoint of water, is there a division? Wave, ocean division. Wave itself is not there. Ocean itself is not there. How can there be a division? From the standpoint of are you all with me? From the standpoint of water, you have already negated ocean and wave. There's no plurality. There's no duality. There's no division. Is it clear? From the standpoint of water. Standpoint, shift. And you can ask, oh, is there anything other than water? Everywhere, everything is water only. There's no second thing other than water with reference to ocean. In the same way, Chandogya Upanishad says what? Yatra nanyat pashyati is the example. Okay? Shankaracharya quotes, having arrived at this consciousness as the truth of everything, from the standpoint of consciousness, where is the universe? Where is the individual? Where is the plurality of beings? Numerability, countlessness, okay? Innumerability. Where is this? Yatra anyat na pashyati. Then who can see what with what? Anything else? You cannot see anything other than the reality implied by the term Brahma if you have the vision of the reality. As long as you're ignorant of water, only you can see the plurality, duality. We are saying unreal. You mistake the empirical reality for absolute reality. Once you arrive at what is absolutely real, from the standpoint of absolute reality, you can see empirical reality being mithya. Okay? Okay. Therefore, he presents all these quotations. Now, finally, in 345, finally, Shankaracharya says this. Virodhacha vidya karmanoho samuchaya anupapattihi. Virodhacha vidya karmanoho samuchaya anupapattihi. For you, the translation is the next page, 346. He says, vidya karmanoho samuchayaha. Combination of or synthesis of knowledge and karma, jnanam and vidya. Karma means vidya, knowledge, and karma, action. Knowledge and action, synthesis of knowledge and action is not possible. Why? Because they are opposed to each other. Virodhat. Due to the opposition. Okay? Virodhat. As they are opposed to each other, they cannot be combined. How you cannot combine two things which are opposed to each other? And he explains in the following sentence. You know why he is telling all these things? This person said, Jnanam should be supported by karma. In fact, karma is important. It means karma and jnanam are equally important. This is a samasamuchaya. We are seeing the third concept. And now he gives the reason why knowledge and action are opposed to each other. Therefore, why they should not be combined, cannot be combined. He gives the reason. Pravilina kartradi karaka vishesha tattva vishayahi vidya tad viparita karaka sadhyena karmana viruddhyate. Okay. Now he differentiates what is knowledge and what is action. See, knowledge here is Vishesha Jnanam. Clear, doubt-free, ascertained vision of the reality obtaining as one's own Swarupam is Aparoksha Jnanam. Otherwise, Vishesha Jnanam. This knowledge itself is what? Moksha. And this knowledge cannot be combined with karma. Combined with karma. Why? Because karma, action, is associated with sixfold accessories. Action is associated with sixfold accessories. Any karma is dependent on any action, any ritual performed, whether it's a sacred religious ritual prescribed in the Karma Kanda of the Veda, or any mundane activity. Any action, any karma is dependent on accessories. This morning we saw the karta. Without a performer of an action, action is not possible. Without an object of action, action will not make any sense. With the instrument of action, and this sampradhanam is a beneficiary of action, the purpose of action, and the location of action. So any action is dependent on these sixfold accessories. Okay, and the sixfold accessories involves what? Implies what? Divisions. And the division and accessories, karma, is associated with ignorance. Action, which is dependent on sixfold accessories, divisions, differences, understand, is associated with ignorance. Material world also. Whereas the knowledge we are talking about as a means of attainment of moksha is knowledge of the absolute reality obtaining as the innermost essence of an individual. Aparoksha Jnanam. The knowledge is of the very reality. And what is the nature of reality? Reality is of the nature of actionlessness. This morning I spent a lot of time for that only. The reality here is of the nature of vastu. Implied by the term Brahma is of the nature of actionlessness. What is the vastu? The formless reality obtaining in the form of pure consciousness is of the nature of actionlessness. And reality is one, indivisible, undivided, partless whole. Okay? And reality has nothing to do with, is not dependent, is of the nature of actionlessness, means reality is not dependent on what? Any of these accessories. Reality is free from these differences in terms of sixfold accessories. Reality is not the doer. Reality is not an object of action. Reality is not an instrument of action. Reality is not the beneficiary of action. Reality is not the purpose of action. Is it clear? Reality is not even the location of action. Reality is completely, absolutely free from these accessories. Therefore, the knowledge which is required for moksha is the knowledge of this reality, absolute reality, which is free from accessories and action, and therefore knowledge also is free from accessories. Knowledge, not any knowledge, specifically knowledge of the reality which is free from accessories. Why this knowledge also is free from accessories? Because knowledge is of the reality which is free from accessories. Is it clear? Therefore, completely different. Accessories and action are associated with ignorance. And the knowledge is here associated with reality, which is of the nature of actionlessness. They're diagonally opposed to each other. Therefore, they cannot be combined. Is it clear? That is what Shankaracharya is saying here. Finished? Okay. Now I move on to the next. I think I made it clear. Now, one more thing. Shankara Bhagavad-pada continues with his commentary. Explain the same thing. Why knowledge and ignorance, knowledge and action, knowledge and karma, jnanam and karma, or vidya and karma cannot be combined, need not be combined for moksha. He has given already the reason. Now he is going further. And I told you many times before, I explained to you, any action is what caused by result, desire. Desire itself is caused by sense of incompleteness, centered on I. The sense of incompleteness is because of the erroneous self-perception, and that is because of the ignorance. So action itself being the product of ignorance, okay, and that action dependent on accessories and divisions and involves differences also, cannot be, understand, action which is a product of ignorance cannot be combined with knowledge of the reality which is of the nature of actionlessness. Okay? And he wants to make it very clear. See, in another reason, in Shastram, the two words, listen to me carefully. Upasanam, okay, the word vidya, let us take the word vidya. Word vidya is a feminine gender word. And there's another word, jnanam, which is a neutral gender word. Jnanam derived from the root jna, which means knowledge. The word vidya derived from the root vid, which also means knowledge. We use two words, vidya and jnanam. Both the words mean actually knowledge. But these two words are also used sometimes to mean meditation, upasanam. So the word vidya means meditation, it also means knowledge. The word jnanam actually means knowledge, it also means meditation. Is it clear? It is used in the sense of two meanings. Isn't it? It gives two meanings. So, this upasak, this person, Karma Purva Pakshi, there was a big confusion. So, the word Veda means knows, it also means meditates. Because same word is used in two different meanings, the upasanam, okay, the knowledge also is mistaken for upasanam. And what is that end which can be accomplished? Highest end, highest benefit that can be accomplished by performing ritual or performing any action or practicing even the meditation. That we have seen Brahmaloka. Even though we say easily, it involves a tremendous amount of effort. It's not an easy joke. That's why people in India, generally when they converse with each other, they'll say something which is very difficult. They'll say, "Oh, Brahma Prayatna." Brahma Prayatna means what? It involves if something is very difficult to do, they'll say, "Oh my God, it's a Brahma Prayatna." They'll say, which means it involves tremendous amount of effort. Anything which involves a very great effort, they will use the expression Brahma Prayatna, which means going to Brahma Loka, which is the highest of the heaven, highest of the worlds, Brahma Loka, and enjoying the very unique pleasures, Aishwaryam, is really great wealth, is not an easy joke. And that is accomplishable by performing ritual, by practicing meditation. There's always combination of karma and meditation is mentioned in the scriptures. Okay, Jnana Karma Samuchayaha means Vidya Karma Samuchayaha. Jnana Karma Samuchayaha in the Karma Kanda means combination of meditation and ritual. In the Karma Kanda context, Karma Jnana Karma Samuchayaha or Vidya Karma Samuchayaha means synthesis of meditation and ritual. Ritual involves body, mind and speech. Kayikam, Vachikam, Manasam, Karma. Which means their physical body is involved in activity. Speech is involved in the form of chanting, offering, isn't it? And the mind also must be focused there only, which is Kayikam Karma. In meditation, purely mind alone is a mental activity, a pure mental activity, meditation. And that meditation is what? Saguna Brahma Upasanam. And the Saguna Brahma Upasanam prescribed in the Karma Kanda, for which object of meditation is Ishvaraha Hiranyagarbha or Virat. Understand? Bhagavan Ishvaraha Hiranyagarbha is the object of meditation, means the object of meditation is different from the meditator. Object of meditation is different from the meditator. Saguna Brahma Upasanam. In Saguna Brahma Upasanam, where the object of meditation is Ishvaraha, which is, no, and meditator is different from the object of meditation. Object of meditation is different from the meditator. The Saguna Brahma Upasanam is also meant by the term Vidya or Jnanam. And this mental activity, meditation, can be combined with physical or the karma, performance of a ritual, which is a Kayikam, Vachikam karma. It is combination of two types of activities is possible. So is it clear? So in Karma Kanda, this Samuchayaha is mentioned repeatedly. By combining the meditation, Saguna Brahma Upasanam, which is practiced before the attainment of Jnanam. Please remember, Saguna Brahma Upasanam is practiced not after the attainment of Jnanam. Not after the attainment of knowledge of the absolute reality. Saguna Brahma Upasanam cannot be practiced. This Upasanam practiced before the attainment of the self-knowledge is which Upasanam? It's a very great Upasanam, not an ordinary thing. Saguna Brahma Upasanam, Hiranyagarbha Upasanam, whereas Ishvara, who is meditated upon, is an object of meditator. There still division is there. I am the meditator, I am the individual meditator, meditating upon the Lord, the whole, Hiranyagarbha. This division is there. So, I am the doer. The notion is very strong notion. I am the doer. I am the performer of a ritual. It is called Kartrutvam. Kartrutvam is very important for a performance of a ritual, to do any karma. Therefore, the person with the Kartrutvam performs rituals and also practices Upasanam, Saguna Brahma Upasanam. Therefore, when he combines them, it's called Samuchayaha. Okay, Jnana Karma Samuchayaha, Vidya Karma Samuchayaha in Karma Kanda context means combination of karma and meditation, Upasanam. And that such a combination definitely produces a very special punyam, no doubt. And if that meditation and the karma, the person who practices that meditation, Saguna Brahma Upasanam, and also performs ritual as Nishkama Upasanam and Nishkama Karma. The person's ritual is Nishkama Karma, meditation is Nishkama Upasana. Meditation means for the person, even though he performs ritual practices Upasanam, he's interested only in moksha and jnanam. Therefore, his interest is not in the enjoyment of pleasures of heaven. Actually, what he wants is jnanam and moksha. Then his own karma and upasana becomes what? Nishkama karma, Nishkama upasanam. Having moksha as the ultimate goal, having keen interest only in jnanam, if a person practices this upasanam, this serious upasanam and karma, then his karma and upasanam become Nishkama karma, Nishkama upasanam. Such a person definitely earns punyam, and as a result of that punyam, he will travel through Shuklagatihi, he will reach Brahmaloka, and there the punyam helps him travel. Traveling through the solar path itself is because of the punyam. And after reaching the Brahmaloka is also because of the punyam. Enjoying the pleasures in Brahmaloka is also because of punyam. But what he cannot attain in Brahmaloka, moksha. And because his practice, karma was Nishkama karma, Nishkama upasanam, even there, the Nishkama upasaka alone attains jnanam in Brahmaloka. And that jnanam which he attains in Brahmaloka helps him discover moksha there. Even there, jnanam alone liberates him. Only jnanam liberates him. But all the other pleasures which he enjoys there, reaching there and traveling from here, all this result of his punyam. Punyam gets exhausted in all of them, but there, because his meditation was nishkama, therefore he attains jnanam, attains moksha, which is called a kramamukti. He does not return. Is it clear? And the same person, suppose if he is not, because all the time enjoyment of heavenly life is so attractive. And even he himself tells, such an Aishwaryam, he says. Suppose the person really works very hard, practices karma, performs karma, practices meditation, earns punyam, but his interest is more in enjoying the heavenly life than in jnanam and moksha. If he is not interested in jnanam and moksha, his karma and upasana, same karma, same meditation, same effort he also puts in, but still his karma becomes what? Sakama karma, sakama upasanam. Is it performance of ritual and practice of meditation along for the purpose of, for the sake of fulfillment of his desire for enjoyment of pleasures, becomes sakama upasam, sakama karma. And such a sakama upasakaha also earns the same amount of punyam. He also enjoys, travels the same path, the same loka, same pleasures he enjoys, everything, there's no difference between Nishkama Upasaka and Sakama Upasaka. Only difference is Jnanam does not take place for a Sakama Upasaka. He enjoys all the heavenly pleasures exactly what Nishkama Upasaka enjoys. Jnanam alone does not take place. Therefore, after exhausting the punyam, enjoying all the pleasures, Shastram says he returns, comes back. He does not attain moksha. Why? No jnanam, no moksha. Is it clear? Therefore, this karma kandi, he mistakes his jnana karma samuchayaha. Okay? And that karma, even to perform that ritual or practice of upasanam, needs what? General knowledge of the entire Veda. One cannot just simply do that. He must have the knowledge of the meaning of the entire Veda. Because for a person to crave for jnanam and moksha takes tremendous amount of maturity. It takes a great deal of viveka vairagyam. Even if you repeatedly listen to something also, it needs a great deal of maturity for a person to have viveka and vairagyam. Vairagyam doesn't come that easily. Who this person mistakes. Therefore, he's repeatedly telling jnana karma, and he talks about Shruti Gati, Aishwarya Gati. Understand? Why he is repeating? He is still mistaking that heaven, Hiranyagarbha Hiranyagarbha as the goal, moksha. Still for him, Hiranyagarbha Loka Prapti, attaining the status of Hiranyagarbha, enjoyment of pleasures, this he takes as the moksha. Whereas Shankaracharya says, moksha is not Sagunam Brahma. Moksha is the nature of the absolute reality, Nirgunam Brahma. Is it clear? As Upasana Phalam is what? This combination of meditation karma can produce punyam which can take you to Sagunam Brahma, Hiranyagarbha, who is Karyam Brahma. Therefore, they cannot be combined. They are opposed to each other. Karma, which is a product of ignorance, cannot be combined with the jnanam, which is opposed to ignorance. Okay? Okay. Now, therefore, he is going to say now. Let me read now. Page number 348. I am very happy thinking and making everything clear. And then, okay, if you have any, please, if you, anywhere, if it goes or above the head, something you feel out of place, please let me know. Okay? Doesn't matter even if I don't how much time I take. Clarity is more important. In page number 348. Sometimes I may say certain things which are not in the text also for the sake of clarifying. Okay, but I bring you back to the text. Okay. And he continues, Nahi ekam vastu paramarthataha kartrutvadi visheshavat tachchunyam cha ityubhayata drashtum shakyate. Okay. See, Sagunam Brahma and Nirgunam Brahma. Understand? Ekam Vastu, one reality. Okay? One and the same reality. Ekam Vastu, Paramarthataha. One and the only, one and the same absolute reality cannot be, okay, seen. Ubhayata drashtum na shakyate. One and the same absolute reality can be seen as the one with the attributes kartrutvadi visheshavat. You cannot see the absolute one, the only absolute reality as the one endowed with the attributes such as doership, and you cannot see the same reality as that one without the attributes also. You cannot see the same reality as Sagunam Brahma and Nirgunam Brahma. Simultaneously, one and the only reality cannot be seen. It is not possible to see the one and the only absolute reality as the one endowed with the attributes and the one without the attributes simultaneously. See, when you see the ocean, then you can see what? Waves, divisions, differences, everything. When you see the water, you don't see anything. Can you see both? If you really see from the standpoint of water, you cannot see. You can see, but you can negate it as mithya, isn't it? After seeing the water, you cannot see the wave and ocean and divisions and differences being satyam. You will say it mithya. Until you see the water, until you come to know of the water, you can see all the divisions and differences being, you mistake them to be real. But once you see the water, then you cannot see anymore the differences and divisions as real. You can see them only as mithya. Is it clear? No, I see the water being satyam. I also see the way divisions also satyam for me. Can you say that? Simultaneously, you cannot see both absolute reality without attributes and with attributes. As Sagunam Brahma and Nirgunam Brahma, I see both. Ubhayata drashtum na shakyate. It is not at all possible to see one and the same reality as both endowed with attributes such as doership, etc., and at the same time be free from all of them. I'm reading the same sentences there. And he says, if at all you see, no, I see water, I also see waves and ocean. If at all you say, it is possible. But how you can see? It is said, avashyam hi anyatara taran mithya syat. Avashyam hi anyataran mithya syat. What does it mean, anyataran mithya syat? If at all you see both together, okay, one of them must be satyam, one of them must be mithya. Is it clear? Okay, when you see water as well as the ocean divisions, waves, etc., you can see water being satyam. You can, in the light of the knowledge of water being satyam, you can also see the ocean and waves, which you need not deny it is not there. It is there, but it is mithya. Mithya means what? It is already negated as not absolutely real. It is mithya. It is as good as non. It means it's as though. Is there a ocean? Ocean is as though. Are there waves? Waves are as though. is the division between wave ocean division is as though, differences are as though, plurality is as though. What is real then? Water alone is real. Is it clear? You see, this is how, if at all, you cannot see simultaneously only reality as both, one with endowed with the attributes, one without the attributes. You cannot see Sagunam and Nirgunam Brahma as one. Is it clear? And you see Sagunam Brahma being Mithya, Nirgunam Brahma being Satyam. Ocean with the attributes, plurality, divisions is what? Mithya. What is Satyam? If you see both, one must be definitely Satyam, the other one must be what? Mithya. So, anyatarasya cha mithyatva prasange yuktam yat swabhavika ajnana vishayasya dvaitasya mithyatvam. Okay, so first, is it clear? First you say one and the only absolute reality cannot be simultaneously both endowed with the attributes and the attributeless. If at all you see both, one is Mithya, one is Satyam. Isn't one Mithya? Then between Satyam and Mithya, which will you take as Satyam, which will you take as Mithya? That which involves duality and divisions, plurality is Mithya, and that which is one is Satyam. With reference to ocean, Satyam, the only reality, water is Satyam. That which involves the divisions and duality is what? The waves and ocean is Mithya. So duality is Mithya, non-duality is Satyam. Similarly here also, with reference to this, when you talk about Sagunam Brahma and Nirgunam Brahma, the Sagunam Brahma Ishvaraha Hiranyagarbhaha, okay, the manifest knowledge associated with the plurality, divisions, etc. is Mithya. Absolute reality, the pure consciousness, which is free from divisions, is Satyam. The source of manifestation of knowledge is Satyam, which is free from divisions. Whereas Sagunam Brahma, which is manifestation of knowledge, which is associated with the divisions and differences, is Mithya. Clear or not? You are seeing? What is Satyam, what is Mithya? Advaitam Satyam. Finally, Shankaracharya comes to this conclusion. What is the conclusion? Advaitam Satyam, Dvaitam Mithya. What is Satyam? What is Mithya? What is absolutely real? What is empirically real? Mithya should not be translated as unreal. Be very careful. Mithya is that which is empirically real. Satyam is that which is absolutely real. Satyam is paramarthikam Satyam. Mithya is vyavaharikam Satyam. Transactional reality, absolute reality. And this object, the empirical reality, is that which is as though. Absolute reality is that which alone is. I had to take you step by step. Simultaneously, one and the only reality cannot be both the one endowed with the attributes and one without the attributes. Okay, what is this only one? Are there two different lokas, worlds now? Tell me. The entire ocean, you see only one. There's only one ocean full of waves. But in that ocean, there are two things you have to see: water and the forms and names. So which should be taken as real, which should be taken as mithya here? Similarly, the absolute reality which is of the nature of consciousness is Paramarthikam Brahma. This is Satyam, which means the source of manifestation, the reality which is of the nature of knowledge, which is source of manifestation of knowledge, is Satyam Brahma. Satyam. And the manifestation of knowledge is Mithya. So Ishvara also is Mithya only. Okay. Between the two, you should take one as Mithya, one is Satyam. And then you have to see there also, if one is Satyam and Mithya, which should be taken as Satyam here? Dvaitam, Advaitam. What is Dvaitam? That which involves divisions, differences, plurality is Mithya. That which is free from divisions and differences is Satyam. So consciousness, the absolute reality which is free from divisions and differences, which is not associated with any attributes, the attributeless reality is Satyam. And that which has ended with all the attributes and divisions is Mithya. So, Dvaitam is Mithya. See, Hiranyagarbha, Sagunam Brahma involves divisions, differences. Virat involves divisions and differences. Whereas absolute reality is free from divisions and differences. Is it clear? Manifestation of knowledge is Ishvara, and Ishvara means associated with the differences and divisions. Because meditator is the individual, this function of meditation, and one who is to be attained is Ishvara, the object of action. Is it clear? The Lord is to be attained by me. I am meditating upon the Lord. This act of meditation involves division, differences. Therefore, the Sagunam Brahma, which associates with divisions and differences, is what? Manifestation of knowledge is Mithya. And what is Satyam? Absolute reality, Nirgunam Brahma, which is of the nature of actionlessness, which is not associated with any of the attributes such as doer, etc., is Satyam. And absolute reality is one secondless non-dual reality. Advaitam is Satyam, and which is where the meditated, worshipper worshipped, difference is involved. The duality is Mithya. Is clear now? Advaitam Satyam, Dvaitam Mithya. And here, what is the knowledge? Knowledge of which will liberate a person from bondage? It's the knowledge of the absolute reality, non-dual reality. Knowledge of the Advaitam Brahma alone will free a person from bondage. Okay? Worship of Sagunam Brahma, which involves duality, will not free one from bondage of karma, which will bless a person with abundance of prosperity, wealth, etc. Knowledge of non-dual absolute reality is for freedom from bondage. Whereas worship and meditation of Sagunam Brahma, which involves duality and divisions, is for Artha Kama Dharmas, not for moksha. Ishvara Dhyanam, Nirguna Brahma Upasanam, different. Saguna Brahma Upasanam is different from Nirguna Brahma Jnanam. Nirguna Brahma Jnanam is Vishesha Jnanam, which is the means of attainment of moksha. Hey Purva Pakshin, you mistake the Saguna Brahma Upasanam, which involves duality and divisions for. Is it clear now? Moksha. Therefore, moksha, which is accomplishable as a result of jnanam, is not the upasana phalam, Ishvara upasana phalam. Actually, he really packs in two small sentences. Shankaracharya has packed a lot of package. So much he says. So, this Purva Pakshi mistakes the Saguna Brahma Upasanam for Nirguna Brahma Jnanam. I'm very slow now. Now we can make it way. No? Saguna Brahma Upasanam is equal to what? Meditation upon the Lord in the form of manifest knowledge. And meditation and worship involves, in our language, worship. Okay? Vedic language, karma upasanam. Our language, worship also. Involves what? Worshipper, worship, worshipped, division. Meditator, meditation, meditated, division. Is it clear? Division. Whereas in Nirguna Brahma Jnanam, there is no division. Why? Because what is to be known happens to be the absolute reality, which is not different from the knower. Advaita Darshanam is different from Saguna Brahma Upasanam. And Karma Kandi mistakes that. And so, meditation and ritual karma can be combined. One is a mental activity, another is a physical oral activity. Is it clear now? Combination is possible. Whereas, Nirguna Brahma Jnanam and Saguna Brahma Upasanam or karma cannot be combined. Upasanam involves, Saguna Brahma Upasanam involves divisions. Nirguna Brahma Jnanam resolves, negates divisions. To practice a meditation, you must have what? Doership. I am the meditator. I am meditating upon the Lord. Hiranyagarbha, who is of these glories, who is of these virtues, who is in the form of this, who can bless me with all these pleasures, etc. The division is involved. Is it clear? It is a very subtle point I am telling. Isn't it? Whereas in Nirguna Brahma Jnanam, I am consciousness. In the Jnanam, the doership is negated. Saguna Brahma Upasanam requires doership. In Nirguna Brahma Jnanam, doership will resolve. In Saguna Brahma Upasanam, enjoyership is very important because you are craving for enjoyment of heavenly pleasures. I am the enjoyer, I am going to enjoy all those things. The notion must be strong. Whereas in Nirguna Brahma Jnanam, I am the enjoyer notion is knocked off. Because you are knocked off. And how are you going to be there as a doer and enjoyer? It's a cognitive knocking. Not physical knocking. Physical knocking we can stand. Cognitive knocking causes great pain. You know that? To know the fact that you are not there, very big blow, ankara blow. I think I got you. Have I? Saguna Brahma Upasanam. It's the biggest of the Upasanam. Take Hiranyagarbha Upasanam. This is what Purupakshi is holding on to now. Oh, Purupakshi, he loves meditation. Upasanam, combine Jnanam and Moksha. Then go to heaven, enjoy pleasures. How do we know? Because he talks about Gati Shruti, Aishwarya Shruti. His buddhi is only associated with the Saguna Brahma Upasanam. Hiranyagarbha. Ayyo, oh no, that is not. We are talking about the absolutely attributeless reality. Sagunam Brahma is endowed with so many virtues and attributes. That is why meditation is possible. Is it clear? Because you see every attribute of Sagunam Brahma, appreciate meditation. So, to perform a specific ritual, perform Jyotishtomena Yajeta Swarga Kamaha. There's a statement of Vidhi. May one perform Jyotishtoma who wants to go to Swarga, heaven. It says, so that performer, first definitely what he must have? I am going to perform a ritual. That must be there. I will attain heaven. How can he perform? Otherwise, I am the performer, I am the doer, that strong notion must be there, only then performance is possible. Therefore, he is related to Ajnanam and related to what? Karma itself is associated with ignorance. Only if ignorance is there, ignorance must be there, only then Kartrutvam is possible. Isn't it? If there is no ignorance of the self, then Kartrutvam, doership is not possible. Doership itself is possible because of the ignorance. So ignorance must be there. So Kartrutvam is possible. I am the doer notion is possible. I am the enjoyer notion must be there. Okay. So only with doership and enjoyership, ritual is performed. And then it involves what? All the 6 accessories. So divisions and differences. I am the meditator. I am practicing meditation. I am going to reach Hiranyagarbha. I am meditating upon Hiranyagarbha. Who is different from me? Meditated. Difference is there in Saguna Brahma Upasanam. Completely different. That is for highest enjoyment of greatest of pleasures. For all Artha Kama Dharmas. But here we are talking about the absolute, infinite end, moksha, happiness, which does not come and go, which is permanently there. That fullness, happiness, freedom is in the form of the very reality, the consciousness itself, which is implied with the term Atma, which is non-different from the Swarupam of the I knower, the meditator. In discovering which, in that Jnanam, in discovering this reality obtaining as the Swarupam of the meditator, in contemplation, there is no meditated difference. It is not Sagunam Brahma who is meditated upon. It is Nirguna Brahma Dhyanam is Nididhyasanam, which is one's own Swarupam. In discovering the Nirgunam Brahma consciousness as one's own Swarupam, having resolved the essence in consciousness, Brahma, I am the doer. Identity with the body, mind, sense complex will be resolved. I am the doer, the notion will be knocked off. I am the enjoyer, notion will be knocked off. Is it clear? Therefore, I am the reality which is absolutely free from all the karakas, all the accessories. Consciousness is not the doer, not the object of action, not any of these things. Not involved, not associated. Is it clear? Therefore, jnanam and karma, which are opposed to each other. In karma, in upasanam or karma, you need doership and enjoyership. Whereas in jnanam, they will be knocked off. How can you combine this knowledge of reality, which is dependent, where doership itself will be knocked off, then no action is performed, isn't it? Then, whereas upasanam, which involves doership and enjoyership, how can you, the diagonally opposed to each other, how can you combine jnanam and Nirguna Brahma Jnanam and Saguna Brahma Upasanam, the karma? How can you combine? Opposed to each other. Therefore, Virodhat. Just to make one sentence Virodhat, I have to tell you so long. But I'm happy. Are you all happy? Are you all happy? I see so much. I don't know whether I'm able to communicate everything what I see here. Sometimes it takes. Virodhat vidya karmanoho samuchaya anupapattihi. If I repeat this, Sanskritam will sound like English for you. Virodhat, because vidya karmanoho samuchaya anupapattihi. Here, please don't mistake Vidya for Saguna Brahma Upasanam. Vidya here means Nirguna Brahma Jnanam, which cannot be combined with the karma which involves accessories. They are opposed to each other. Okay, they cannot be combined, they need not be combined. For moksha, what we need is Nirguna Brahma Jnanam, which is Visesha Jnanam. It is not Samanya Jnanam or Shuta Jnanam. It is not even Upasanam. Okay. We have seen all that. No, Shankaracharya, we have read all this. So now what is now between the two, which is Satyam, which is Mithya. Okay? See the Hiranyagarbha. Hiranyagarbha is what? Swargaha. Hiranyagarbha means Swargaha. Take it as Swarga. Attaining Hiranyagarbha status, enjoying the heavenly pleasures, going to heaven, etc., which is the result of Saguna Brahma Upasanam, is what? Mithya. It involves Dvaitam. Is it? Whereas, what is Nirgunam Brahma? What is to be known here? Nirgunam Brahma. Is it? Nirgunam Brahma, which is the subject matter of this knowledge, is Nirgunam Satyam. Which is Satyam? Yes. Nirgunam Brahma is Advaitam Brahma, non-dual reality. Why it is non-dual? Knower-known divisionless reality is non-dual reality. Is it clear? Nirgunam Brahma, which is free from knower-known division, like what? From the standpoint of water, there is no wave-ocean division. Similarly, from the standpoint of abstract reality, the consciousness, there is no knower-known division. For non-dual reality, consciousness is Satyam, whereas Saguna Brahma Upasanam, is it clear? Which is accomplishable only through Upasanam, etc., involves what? Meditator, meditation, meditated divisions. It is Dvaitam. Meditator, meditated division is associated with Sagunam Brahma, whereas this knower-known duality is not associated with Nirgunam Brahma. Is it clear? Therefore, Advaitam Brahma Satyam, Dvaitam Brahma, Sagunam Brahma is Dvaitam Brahma. Okay? Dvaitam is Ishvaraha, involves duality, Mithya. That is why great devotees, it causes great pain for them to understand Ishvara as mithya. You must have guts to accept this, okay? We appreciate Ishvara's order, how it is unappreciated, that is different. But still, Ishvara's status is mithya, Ishvara is mithya. In Mandukya Upanishad, my God, you must have, Gaudapada Acharyan knocks like anything. That is why Puja Swami, always we say, people who have not studied other things directly should never study Mandukya Upanishad directly. They'll become atheists otherwise. The problem. Atheists is not appropriate, because it's like immature mind should not be exposed to teaching. Here we are not saying, okay, we appreciate this. Everything must be understood correctly. So Shankaracharya, finally he says, what does he say? If at all you see both, nahi ekam vastu paramarthitaha kartruttvadi visheshavat tachchunyam cha ityubhyata drashtum shakyate. It is not at all possible to see one and the same absolute reality, Nirgunam Brahma, as both endowed with Sagunam Brahma, Nirgunam Brahma. One cannot be both simultaneously. Which means, if you see both, how do you say? One must be mithya, one must be satyam. If you see the ocean, no, I see the ocean, I see the waves also. How can you say waves are not there? Suppose if you ask me, you can't say waves are also mithya, ocean is satyam, waves are satyam, water is satyam. Can you say that? You must say, if at all you see waves, ocean, divisions, water, etc., you must say one alone is satyam, other rest is what? Mithya. You must say ocean is mithya, I see water and ocean simultaneously. You can see, you can't see. If you see water, don't see ocean. If at all you see, you must say what? One must be satyam, other one must be mithya. It's like Nirgunam Brahma, if you see satyam, Sagunam Brahma is mithya. Sagunam Brahma is like ocean, understand? Nirgunam Brahma is like water. Don't say water and mithya, okay? But Brahman is not water. I'm just saying example. Don't stretch the example. Manifestation is mithya, source of manifestation is satyam. And therefore he says, and anyatarasya cha mithyatva prasange yuktam yat swabhavika ajnana visheshya dvaitasya mithyatvam. Therefore, this Hiranyagarbha associated with the duality is mithya. Okay? And Nirgunam Brahma, which is of the nature of non-duality, is satyam. Okay? Yatra hi dvaitamiva bhavati. Now Shankaracharya, he concluded. Now he doesn't want to stop it, because still Purvapakshi will come and say, it is all your interpretation. Okay? It's all your interpretation. He may say, therefore, he gives many quotations from the Veda Upanishad itself. Why? Not for his conviction. Not, okay? I am not simply saying anything. I am thoughtfully, having thoroughly analyzed, I am presenting in front of you. You are right from your standpoint, but I tell you what you mean is not Nirguna Brahma Jnanam, Saguna Brahma Upasanam, which involves Dvaitam, which is Mithya. Yes, which is not Satyam. But what we want is moksha, for which what we need is Advaita Nirgunam Brahma, Jnanam. Not karma, it not be combined. Having said that, he gives many quotations. Yatra hi dvaitamiva bhavati. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, he quotes, where everything seems to be dual. This absolute reality is the only reality, non-dual reality. In that non-dual, only secondless absolute reality, there seems to be duality. There's no really duality. Now you can see from this example itself, we do experience the plurality of waves and the wave-ocean division. But if you see the standpoint of water, can you say this wave is real? If wave-ocean duality can enjoy existence independently without the water, then you can say it is Satyam, isn't it? No independent duality will disappear in without water. Wave-ocean difference will disappear. With the water is not there. That's why it's mithya. Independent, the division does not have independent existence. Because the wave ocean itself is what? Doesn't have independent existence. Similarly here also, even all these divisions do not have independent existence. They seem to be there. Mithya means as though. Wave is as though, waves are as though, ocean is as though, what is really is water. Similarly, all these knower known divisions, karakas, plurality, all of them are as though what is really absolutely is this absolute reality, Nirgunam Brahma. Then mrityoha samrityumapnoti. See, that person, he talks about the ignorant person. The person who is ignorant of the self, the person who is ajnani, atma jnani, who is ignorant of this absolute reality, non-dual reality, the one who is ignorant of one's own self, travels from death to death. Means what? He moves from birth to birth. He continues to be in the cycle of samsara. He is no more free. Okay? He is not free. He is bound by samsara. And this one sentence comes in both the Upanishads, Kathopanishad as well as Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. If you have done Kathopanishad, you must have heard it. Mrityoho samrityumapnoti. He travels, he goes from death to death. Then he quotes another sentence, Chandogya Upanishad. What is that? Atha yatra anyat pashyati tadalpam. He says, the person who sees a second thing, no? And the second thing was alpam, means there's no second thing. If at all there is a second thing, the second thing is relatively there. Absolutely, there is no second thing. And who sees a second thing, he knows very little. Tadalpam. Shastram concludes, okay? Who has wisdom, he says. If a person sees second thing, in somebody's vision, the perception, the second thing absolutely means he doesn't know. He knows very little. Means he does not know. This nice way, polite way of saying, isn't it? Is a very polished way of saying he does not know anything instead of saying he knows little. If he sees a second thing, absolutely there is no second thing. Second Advitiyam, Advaitam, isn't it? He quotes all these things, which means there is Nirgunam Brahma, which alone is Satyam, which is one secondless non-dual reality. And we need the knowledge of that absolute reality, obtaining as the very Swarupam of the meditator, which alone is said to be attainment of freedom. Whereas you are talking about the duality. Ishvara, Dvaita Brahma. Dvaitam Brahma means you are talking about Hiranyagarbha, manifestation of knowledge. Ishvara, Sagunam Brahma. We are talking about Nirgunam Brahma, Advaitam Brahma, non-dual reality. Complete different. That is why he wants to combine. Why do you want to combine? What is there to combine here? Jnanam is enough. Jnanam alone is wanted. Karma cannot come near this moksha. We're going to see finally. Okay. A few more examples. I'll come back and see tomorrow. Okay. I know where I'm leaving here. Sorry, we have not progressed much in the text, but still a lot of. I think I made many things clear today. So one thing we have to say. Finally, we are going to say. Shankaracharya also accepts karma and jnanam both are equally important, both are associate, both serve as a means of attainment of knowledge. Shankaracharya also says we must be combined, karma and jnanam must be combined as a means of attainment of moksha, but not simultaneously, but sequentially. Is it clear? Combining means what? Both are needed. Karma and jnanam. Shankaracharya, Advaiti also will say karma and jnanam both are important for attaining moksha, but not simultaneously, but sequentially. Karma as yoga is required for preparedness, purification of the mind, steadiness of the mind. Thereby, karma serves indirect means of attainment of moksha. And jnanam should follow karma. Sequentially, we need karma yoga and jnana yoga. But you can't combine them both. Simultaneously, it is not simultaneous samuchaya. Sama samuchaya is not possible. Krama samuchaya is possible. Krama samuchaya means what? Sequentially, a sequential combination of karma and jnanam is possible. But it's called krama samuchaya. For Advaitin say, krama samuchaya is possible, is necessary. Sequential combination of karma and jnanam is a means of attainment of moksha. But simultaneous combination of karma and jnanam is not possible, as Purupakshi says. Samasamuchaya means simultaneously combining, whereas Kramasamuchaya means sequentially combining. Sequential combination, simultaneous combination. Sequential combination is for what? First follow karma yoga for preparing the mind. Then after preparing the mind, then pursue jnanam, exclusive for jnanam for moksha. They are not combining jnanam with karma for moksha. Krama samuchaya is different from sama samuchaya. Okay. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Is it clear, Swamiji? Any doubts?